Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel Legal Decipher. In the previous video we had discussed about chapter 4 of the Indian Penal Code 1860. If you have not seen that video, you can go and check it. The link is in the description below. In today's video, we are going to discuss about chapter 5 of the Indian Penal Code 1860. We'll go through the chapter and try to understand the substance therein. So if you are new here, you can like and subscribe to my channel to get the video notifications. So let's get started. So today we are going to discuss about chapter 5 of the Indian Penal Code that talks about abatement. So from chapter 5, we will slowly understand about various acts. Those are considered as offences under the Indian Penal Code. So from chapter 5, the Indian Penal Code starts explaining about the various offences and their punishments. So section 107 talks about abatement of a thing. So first understand what is abatement. Abatement is an act of abating any offense. An abater is a person who aids, instigates, assists or abates any other person in commission of a crime. So it is said under section 107 that a person has abated the doing of a thing when the following ingredients are fulfilled. What are those? Those are if the person instigates any person to do that thing. He creates a psychological impression upon any other person that such an act needs to be done or must be done. Or he instigates that person that let's do this thing. Secondly, it says if that person engages with one or more person for conspiracy of doing that thing. That means they form a group. That person forms a group with another person or more than one person for conspiring, for the conspiracy of doing any particular thing, where an act or illegal omission takes place in pursuance of that conspiracy. So not only he conspires, also an act that was not supposed to be done, which is considered as an offense under the Indian Penal Code, or an illegal omission. That means something was legally needed to be done, but that was illegally omitted by these persons. And that act or illegal omission took place in pursuance of that conspiracy. That means because of that conspiracy of these persons, those act or illegal commissions took place. Thirdly, it says if the person intentionally aids in the doing of a thing by act or illegal omission. So either he has done an act or he has done an illegal omission. That means he was supposed to do something by law but he did not do it. He illegally omitted it. So by doing that act or that illegal omission, he intentionally helped, that means aided in the doing of a particular thing. It also explains that willful misrepresentation or concealment of material facts which a person is bound to disclose or which causes a thing to be done is said to instigate. So instigation also includes willful misrepresentation. The person willfully misrepresented any fact or concealed any fact. That is a material fact. So either he concealed it or he willfully misrepresented it, that he was bound to disclose. So that also will fall under the term instigation of a thing. Now the other explanation says that whoever either prior to or at the time of the commission of the act does anything in order to facilitate the commission of the act and thereby facilitates the commission thereof is said to aid the doing of that act. So say for example the person prior to the commission of the actual act does anything so that this later act gets facilitated. So say for example, he opened the door or he picked a lock so that the locked door is open now, and afterwards an offense of robbery or theft or any such kind of offense takes place. So this person is also thought to be a part of that abatement because he, prior to the actual offense, committed such an act that facilitated the commission of that latter act. So he picked the lock to facilitate the robbery, so the robbery can be done without any hassle. So that person will also be said to have aided the doing of that act. Now section 108 talks about abater. It says a person abates an offense who abates either the commission of an offense or the commission of an act which would be an offense. So if the person directly abates the commission of the offense or he directly abates the commission of any act that would be considered as an offense, so that person would thought to be an abater if committed by a person capable of law of committing an offense with the same intention or knowledge as that of an abater. So whatever the abater would think about the offense, whatever the abater had the intention or knowledge, this person also had the same intention and knowledge. He knew that whatever he is committing was not okay, it was a wrong. He was actually facilitating an offense, or he was indirectly committing that offense, or he was directly committing that offense. So if that person had the intention, had the knowledge, that abater would have such kind of intention or knowledge. If this person also had the same kind of intention or knowledge, then he would be thought to be an abater. Now explanation says that the abatement of the illegal omission of an act may amount to an offense, although the abater may not himself be bound to do that act. So it doesn't make the abater bound to do any act, but if that abatement included any illegal omission that was done by a person, then that omission may be thought to be an offense, although the abater was not bound to do that act. Now explanation 2 says that to constitute the offense of abatement, it is not necessary that the act abated should be committed, or that the effect requisite to constitute the offense should be caused. So it says that in order to constitute the offense of abatement, it is not necessary that the act which was abated should be committed. So the act may be committed or may not be committed, that doesn't matter. The abatement is still there. So to effect the requisite constitution of the offense, the person will not have the defense that I may have abated the offense, but that offense was not committed, so why would I be guilty? He cannot take such plea. That person will still be charged with abatement, because it doesn't matter whether the offense of which the abatement was done was committed or not. It doesn't matter. The abatement was there, and that is enough to constitute it as an offense, because abatement is in itself an independent offense recognized under the Indian Penal Code. Now explanation 3 says that it is not necessary that the person abated should be capable by law of committing an offense, or that he should have the same guilty intention or knowledge as that of the abater, or any guilty intention or knowledge. So it is not necessary that the person who was abating the offense should be capable by law of committing the offense. Say for example, the person is the mastermind behind the offense, but he is somehow physically incapable due to any kind of paralysis or any other infirmity. He could not actually commit the offense, but he has planned the entire offense. He was the mastermind behind the offense. So he later on takes plea that I have not committed the offense, so why are you charging me? So he cannot do so, because the explanation 3 says that it does not necessarily require that person to be capable by law of committing such an offense. the mere abatement that was done by that person would in itself make him guilty of the offense of abatement. Even if he did not have the guilty intention or knowledge of that of an abater, still he would be charged with abatement. Now, explanation 4 says that the abatement of an offense being an offense, the abatement of such an abatement is also an offense. So, let's understand this particular explanation through a very simple example. It says, say for example, a person who is named A instigates another person who names B to instigate C, that is another person, to murder Z. So A goes to B and says, you need to instigate C so that C murders Z. So basically A is the abater of the abatement that was to be committed by B to C, so that C actually goes and commits the offense of murder upon Z. So we are getting the essence here. It says the abatement of an offense. That means A is the remotest person who is doing the abatement. He is abating B to abate with C to murder Z. In that case, A is also liable to the same punishment for instigation as well as B who instigated with C to murder Z. Now explanation 5 says that it is not necessary to the commission of the offense of abatement by conspiracy that the abater should concert the offense with the person who commits it. It is sufficient if he engages in the conspiracy in pursuance of which the offense is committed. So it does not mean that the person has abated the offense and now he is actually going to perform the offense. It doesn't need to be so. It is sufficient if he engages in the conspiracy in pursuance of which the offense is committed. So if the offense is committed in pursuance to that conspiracy and that person was a part of that conspiracy, then it is sufficient that this person will be taken into account as an abater. So he will be charged with the offense of abatement. Now section 108A talks about abatement in India of offenses outside India. It says a person abates an offense within the meaning of this code who in India abates the commission of any act without and beyond India which would constitute an offense if committed in India. So this person is in any place that is situated in India and he is planning to commit an offense. He is abating the commission of an offense in a foreign soil, in any other country. So if the act that was abated by this person to be performed in any other country, if that act was an offense in India, then this person is committing the abatement of that offense. And so as the abatement was done in India, the person will be charged for the offense of abatement. Now section 109 talks about punishment of abatement if the act abated is committed in consequence and where no express provision is made for its punishment. So say for example, this person has abated an offense, the punishment of which is not there in the IPC. So whoever abates any offense shall, if the act abated is committed in consequence of that abatement. So he has abated a particular act and that act was committed in pursuance of that abatement. And there is no express provision in this Indian Penal Code for the punishment of such abatement. Then that person will be punished with the punishment provided for that offense that was committed in pursuance of that abatement. Explanation says an act or offense is said to be committed in consequence of abatement when it is committed in consequence of the instigation. So when will we think that this crime has been committed in pursuance of an abatement? If that crime was committed in consequence of the instigation or in pursuance of the conspiracy or with the help which constitutes the abatement. So in all these cases we will think that the act was committed in consequence of that abatement. Now section 110 talks about punishment of abatement if person abated does act with different intention from that of abater. So whoever abates the commission of an offence shall, if the person abated does the act with a different intention or knowledge from that of the abater. So the abater had a certain kind of mentality. He thought of a particular offense, that we will do this kind of offense. Now the person who is actually committing the offense after such abatement, he has committed that offense with a different intention or knowledge. So he did not have the same intention or knowledge as to that of the abater. Then this person will be punished with the punishment provided for the offense, which would have been committed if the act had been done with the intention or knowledge of the abater and with no other. So he will be punished for the abatement of the act that he caused or that he did. So he would be punished with the punishment that was provided for the offense which would have been committed if the act had been done with the intention or knowledge of the abater. So whatever that abater had instructed that person to do, that intention or knowledge would be taken into account, and the punishment would be given of that offense which would have been committed if the act was done with the same intention or knowledge of that of the abater and with no other. So no other punishment will be given. Only that punishment will be given that is specified for that offense which had been intended or known by the abater. Now section 111 talks about liability of abater when one act abated and different act done. So say for example, abatement is the planning. Now something was planned and something else was done. So when an act is abated and a different act is done, the abater is liable for the act done in the same manner and to the same extent as if he had directly abated it. Now let's understand this by a simple example. It says, say for example, a person A is instigating a child that you take this poison and go and mix this poison in the food of Z, another person, and gives the poison to that child for that purpose. Now the child, in consequence of the instigation, by mistake puts the poison into the food of Y, another person. So he was to put that poison in the food of Z, but he mistakenly put the poison in the food of Y, who was not the target as per the abatement. The child was acting under the influence of A's instigation, and the act was done under the circumstances of a probable consequence of the abatement. So A is liable in the same manner and to the same extent as if he had instigated the child to put the poison into the food of Y. So the abater cannot defend himself with the plea that I was abating against Z, I was not abating against Y. The child mistakenly put the poison into Y's food and that is why Y died. I did not intend to, or I did not abated to kill Y, but that plea won't be considered because his intention was to kill Z, but somehow that boy mistakenly put the poison in Y's food. Now Y has died, but the consequences are the same. He has actually abated the offense. It will be thought that the abatement was to kill Y in the same manner as it would have been considered if Z had died. Now section 112 talks about abater when liable to cumulative punishment for act abated and for act done. It says if the act for which the abater is liable under the last preceding section is committed in addition to the act abated and constitute a distinct offence, the abater is liable to punishment for each of such offences. Say for example, let us twist the previous example a little bit. Say for example that boy has put the poison in both the foods of Z and Y and both Z and Y has been killed. Then even though the abater only wanted to kill Z and not Y, but due to such instigation, the child had mistakenly put poison in both of Z and Y's food and both of them had died, then it would be considered that A had abetted the death of both Z and Y. So he will be punished accordingly. He would be punished for both of those distinct offenses. Now, section 113 talks about liability of abettor for an effect caused by the act abetted different from that intended by the abettor. So, when an act is abetted with the intention on the part of the abettor of causing a particular effect, so and an act for which the abettor is liable in consequence of the abatement causes a different effect from that intended by the abettor, then the abettor is liable for the effect caused in the same manner and to the same extent as if he had abetted the act with the intention of causing that effect, provided he knew that the act abetted was likely to cause that effect. Say for example, let's understand this from a very simple illustration. Say for example, a person, his name is A, he is instigating hurt upon Z, another person. So what he does is that he knows that Z is in the first floor and he will come down to the ground floor. He will use the staircase. Now A goes and puts some water in the staircase. Now he knows that if Z comes down that staircase, he will probably not see the water, he will slip and he will fall down the staircase. Now A wanted to inflict a particular effect. A wanted that Z falls down from the staircase and breaks his leg. But he also knew that maybe Z will come down, maybe Z will slip, and maybe Z will hurt himself in a very severe way that may even take his life. But still he puts the water. So he knows the ultimate consequences, but he intends to inflict a certain kind of damage. He did not intend to kill him. He only wanted to break his leg so that he slips on the water and he breaks his leg. But he also knew that even if he wanted to break his leg, whatever he has done, that means he has put the water in the staircase. He knew if Z falls down in a particular bad way, then he would get severely hit in his head or otherwise, and he may also die from that consequence. Still, he chose that method and he put water. Now Z comes down the staircase, Z slips in the water, and Z falls down in a very dangerous way and gets hit by the head and he dies in the consequence. So in that case, section 113 says that though A did not wanted to cause the death of Z, he only wanted to break his leg, but still he will be charged with abatement of murder because he knew that this consequence would also be very likely to happen. Still, he abated in that dangerous way. Now, section 14 talks about abettor present when offense is committed. So, whenever any person who is absent would be liable to be punished as an abettor is present when the act or offense for which he would be punishable in consequence of the abatement is committed, he shall be deemed to have committed such an offense or act. So, say for example, a person plans to murder another person, so he hires a particular goon. He says that here I will give you some money, you go and kill that person. So he is the abettor because he is not present at the spot. But if he thinks that I wish I could see him die, so he appears at the place where that person is going to be killed and he is present at the spot. Now he will be charged not only with the abatement of that offense but also with the murder of that person because he was present at the spot. So when an abettor is present in the spot where the offense is committed, then he will also be deemed to have committed such act or offense. Section 115 talks about abatement of offense punishable with death or imprisonment for life if offense not committed. So whoever abates the commission of an offense that is punishable with death or imprisonment for life shall, if that offense be not committed in consequence of the abatement and no express provision is made in this code for the punishment of such abatement, be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 7 years and shall also be liable to fine. So, say for example, the person has committed the offense of abatement. So, he has abated a particular offense. Now, the offense that he has abated, that offense is punishable with death or imprisonment of life. Now, if that person has abated such kind of offense and in consequence of such abatement the offense is not committed, so somehow the offense is prevented, it is not committed, then if there is no express provision in this Indian Penal Code for the punishment of such abatement, then it is always said the punishment of such abatement would extend to 7 years. So it will be of any description up to 7 years and shall also be liable to fine. Now, if act causing harm be done in consequence, so the abatement of an offense which was punishable with death or imprisonment was done and the consequence of such abatement harm was inflicted, then the abater shall be liable to imprisonment which may extend to 14 years. So it will double the amount of imprisonment and shall also be liable to fine. Let's move on to section 116. It talks about abatement of offense punishable with imprisonment if offense be not committed. So whoever abates an offense that is punishable with imprisonment, so now it is not punished with death or imprisonment for life, it is punished with any kind of imprisonment, any amount of imprisonment. Then if that offense is not committed in consequence of the abatement and there is no express provision in this Indian Penal Code for the punishment of such abatement, then in that case that person will be punished with imprisonment of any description which may extend to 1/4 part of the longest term provided for that offense. So say for example the offense had a punishment of any description from 7 to 10 years. So the maximum is 10 years and 1/4 of that maximum term is 2.5 years. So this person will be punished with 2.5 years of imprisonment for abatement of such offense. Now if abater or person abated be a public servant whose duty is to prevent offense, so if the abater or the person who is abated is a public servant, so the public servant is abating now or is being a part of that abatement, whose duty was to prevent the commission of such offense, then the abater shall be punished with imprisonment of any description provided for that offense for a term which may extend to 1/2 of the longest term provided for that offense. So now if the longest term that was to be provided was 10 years, then it will be 1/2. So the public servant will have to go an imprisonment of 5 years in this case, or with such fine as is provided for the offense, or with both. Let's move on to section 117. It talks about abating commission of offense by the public or by more than 10 persons. Now this person has abated an offense and that offense is to be committed by the public generally. So the offense is to be committed by the public or by more than 10 persons, and someone has instigated, someone has abated the commission of such offense by the public. In that case, that person who is abating that offense shall be punished with imprisonment of either term which may extend to 3 years, or with fine, or with both. Now section 118 talks about concealing design to commit offense punishable with death or imprisonment for life. So whoever intending to facilitate or knowing it to be likely that he will thereby facilitate the commission of an offense punishable with death or imprisonment for life voluntarily conceals by any act or illegal omission or by the use of encryption or any other information hiding tool the existence of a design to commit such offense or makes any representation which he knows to be false respecting such design. So, when a person knows that the offense that is to be committed in consequence of the abatement that he is doing will be death or imprisonment for life. Now, this person is trying to hide or conceal the designs of such abatement. He is trying to hide all the traces that such kind of abatement has ever happened, and he voluntarily conceals by any act or illegal omission, or he uses any kind of encryption or any tool that is used for hiding information, or he is actually concealing the existence of a design to commit such offense, or he is making any representation that he knows is false respecting such design, then such concealment of such abatement will be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend up to 7 years, and if the offense is not committed, then such imprisonment of either description may extend to 3 years, and in both the cases fine may also be imposed upon them. Now section 119 talks about public servant concealing design to commit offense which it is his duty to prevent. So now the public servant is involved in concealing a design to commit an offense that he was in duty to prevent. So whoever, being a public servant, commits any that kind of offense of concealing the design to commit an offense, and he voluntarily conceals by act or illegal omission or uses encryption or any information hiding tool the existence of a design to commit such offense, or makes representation that he knows to be false respecting such design, then if the offense be committed, then it will be punished with imprisonment which may extend to 1/2 of the longest term of the imprisonment, and with fine or with both. And if such offense be punishable with death, that means he was hiding or concealing the design to commit such offense, that offense which was punishable with death, then in that case, if the offense is punishable with death or imprisonment for life, then the punishment for such concealing by that public servant would be imprisonment for a term which may extend to 10 years. And if such offense is not committed, then it may extend to 1/4 part of the longest term of imprisonment that was provided. Let's move on to the last section of this chapter, that is section 120, which talks about concealing design to commit offense punishable with imprisonment. So whoever intending to facilitate or knowing it to be likely that he will thereby facilitate the commission of an offense punishable with imprisonment. So he knows and he intends to facilitate, or he knows to be likely that it will thereby facilitate the commission of an offense that is punishable with imprisonment, and he voluntarily conceals by any act or illegal omission the existence of such a design to commit such offense, or makes any representation that he knows to be false respecting such design, then if the offense is committed, then it will be punished with an imprisonment for a maximum term of 1/4 of that offense. And if the offense is not committed, then it will be punished with the longest term of 1/8 of such imprisonment, or with fine or with both. So that's all in this video. If you like my videos, then don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video.